We now move on to London Borough of Bexley with nitrogen dioxide readings, and we start with Belvedere, which is an area made of low-level houses, local shops and a railway line. So look at the graph of between 2019 and 2021, which has been hardly any difference at all, including during the pandemic. And if anything, one bit has risen slightly. Now we move to 21 to 23. Which has been hardly any difference at all, as you can see in the graph. And finally, we move to 23 to 25, where there's been practically no difference at all, including after the ULEZ expansion. We'll now have a look at the nitrogen dioxide readings at Belvedere West, which is near Abbey Wood. The whole area consists of industrial estates, normal housing estates, and high-rise tower blocks in Abbey Wood. So have a look at the graph from 2019 to 2021. Where bits of 2020 was higher than it was in 2019. Other than that, hardly any difference at all. Then we move to 2021 to 2023, which is again is hardly any difference at all. So you can have a look at that graph. And finally, move on to 2023 to 2025. Again, hardly any difference whatsoever, despite the so-called ULEZ expansion. We now look at nitrogen dioxide readings from inverted commas Bexley, which is actually near Slade Green and nearby Crayford as well. The area consists of houses and local shops. So have a look at the graph from 2018 to 2020. There's practically no noticeable difference at all. Then we have a look at 2020 to 2022. There's been hardly any difference whatsoever. Then we have a look at 2022 to 2024. Again, hardly any difference despite the so-called ULEZ expansion. And again, we'll look at 2023 to 2025. Again, hardly any difference except that during 2024 and 2025, the reads have been higher than they were in 2023. We'll now have a look at PM 2.5 readings within the London Borough of Bexley. Starting off with Belvedere, we'll look at 2019 to 2021. There's hardly any difference apart from a few faults, I guess, with the actual monitoring equipment itself, hence the dropouts. Then move on to 21 to 23, where 2023 was a bit higher, but pretty much the same. Finally, we move on to 2023 to 2025, where 2025 was actually higher than 2023 and 2024. We will now have a look at the PM 2.5 readings in nearby Belvedere West. During 2019 and 2020, 2020 was a bit higher during the year of the pandemic, but other than that, they're pretty much the same. Now we'll look at 2021 to 2023, which is pretty much the same, albeit dropouts in places could indicate faults in the air monitoring equipment. And we have a look at 2023 to 2025, where 2025 was higher than both 2023 and 2024, just like the site at Belvedere. We'll now move on to the PM 2.5 readings at the monitoring station near Slade Green, labelled Bexley. We'll start with 2018 to 2020. There's not really any noticeable difference as such, bits here and there. And move on to 2020, the year of the lockdown, to 2022. There's no real actual noticeable differences, apart from odd seasonal changes due to the weather. Then we look at 2022 to 2024, which is pretty much the same thing, like seasonal changes due to the weather, explaining the little spikes here and there. And then finally we move on to 2023 to 2025, which actually 2025's readings is higher than 2023's and 2024's, which is basically due to the weather.